It is Tuesday, April 4th, 2023. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by MLB 9 Innings. That is my vacationing man, even though he's really not vacationing. He is hard at work in Hawaii. Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. Producer Dan along for the ride as well. Are you already showered and everything?
I am. I get up early here, man. Like I'm a 4:45, 5 a.m. guy in Hawaii. I get up, I watch the sunrise, I do some work, have a cup of coffee. Here it is right here. See Rosie. I don't want to waste 1 second while I'm out here because I'm having such a good time. So
You go to bed at like
seize
7
the
o'clock
day.
then?
Like 9:15, definitely early nights. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I get it.
Wish you were here, bro.
You have. Oh, yeah, no, that's very sweet. But, I'm better off right here. I don't want to ruin Olivia's vacation.
Okay.
So that's just, yeah, I think that's fair by me. So, yes, Baseball Today is presented to you by MLB 9 Innings. It has a wide variety of game modes from league mode. Users play through an entire season to live play-by-play. They have over 2,000 player cards to collect and use in your dream roster. Most up-to-date rosters, team logos, ballparks, uniforms, and they're introducing new historic players to the MLB 9 Innings roster. Hall of Famers, Larry Walker, Walter Johnson, Hank Aaron, Mike Schmidt, Trevor Hoffman. So download and play MLB 9 Innings 23 today with the link in the description. And don't forget, on Friday's show, we will unveil our MLB 9 Innings question of the week. So get your question in on our social media channels on Chris Rose Sports by Thursday night, so you can be famous when we read it on air and get Baseball Today swag. I am wearing an old school Padres hat today. Old school. I don't even know what year this is from, Blue.
That's got to be like 2008 to 10, something like that.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of Khalil Green or Yonder Alonso when he was on the Padres.
Good one.
Yeah.
I'll have to go ask Yonder about that one.
Okay.
So the Padres had a huge come-from-behind victory last night after your boy Evan Longoria put the Diamondbacks up with his first Arizona homer. The Padres, though, go back-to-back pinch hitter Dahl. Kim ends up walking it off. Now I'm going to play two different clips for you. One is the home team's call. One is the road team's call. You'll have to figure out which one is which.
This.
Here's one of them.
Kim to left. Back goes Carroll. That's the ball game. Hassan Kim walks it off. Padres go back-to-back in the ninth. Win it 5-4. They'll wait for him at the plate. It's time to celebrate.
Okay, so that's one.
Okay.
Here's the other.
This one is gone.
Now, do you think the first or the second one was the Padres call?
I think I know the answer to this one. I think it was the first one. Let me tell you something. I really like that the score bug, like the homer thing that comes on the screen that Bally's is doing. I'm kind of digging that right there.
Yeah, we know where all their money went.
Yeah, to show the exit velo, the launch angle. Okay. Cost a lot for that.
Yeah. So Don Orsillo on the first call, Steve Berthume of the Arizona Diamondbacks broadcast team with the second one. We've all been there, Steve. Don't worry about it. So the bigger question here is, will San Diego stay up at the top of the standings in the NL West with the Dodgers all season?
I expect them to at least be close. And, I think they have figured some things out with their roster that the Dodgers have been doing for quite some time. And the reason I think the Dodgers have been, at the forefront of the NOS for, forever is the depth. When they need to give guys a night off or they run into some injuries, like they have bench pieces they can draw from, and they can also get guys from their minor league system. Padres, last year, they have high-end talent. They did well in the playoffs, but I think at points their depth was tested. And this offseason, I know we got Bogarts to come over there. We made some big signings, extensions, but they also added depth pieces to the bench. We have Cruz and Carpenter, like those guys are going to give you professional bats off the bench. Dahl, who I had on my show sequence, he's been an all-star. The guy can do it. He makes the team out of spring training and gives you a great pinch hit at bat last night. So these are the things that good teams are able to do. They get in these situations where maybe they For instance, like last night, they put a defensive replacement in there, and things change. The game changes, and now they have to have a bat off the bench. Dahl's a nice option to have. So having that depth, I think, will allow them to sustain, season-long series wins and keep up with the Dodgers, because that's what they've been able to do, for the last 10 years.
Isn't Rugi Odor on their team too?
Rugi Odor's on the team. So he
night?
played right field last night, or he was in the outfield.
First time in his career. Yeah, it was bizarre. And let's not forget, what date are we on? We're on the 4th. So in 16 days, they're going to get somebody else back that might increase the depth of that line.
Exactly. The bench will be even better because they have a starter come in. Yeah.
So for me, the big question is, can they match up pitching wise? Because already in their first 5 games so far this year, they have started the likes of Weathers, Waka, and who is the other one? Lugo. Okay, so those are. It's okay to get 2 of those guys. Now I know Darvish was pushed back. There was a little bit of unsettling situation during spring training and the World Baseball Classic. How much he was being used? Was he ready? He finally, I think, makes his season debut today in an early game against Arizona. They're going to have to make another move at some point, in my opinion, with that rotation, if they want to stick with the Dodgers. And then eventually, if they want to get to reach the Holy Grail. And they made it to Game 5 of the NLCS last year. But let's remember what happened in the playoffs. Clevenger couldn't get an out when he was supplied to an early lead against Philly. Sean Manaea didn't help at all. Those were 2 guys they thought they were going to be able to rely on. They're going to have to make some shrewd moves during the season if they want to get to where they want to get to, in my opinion.
I agree. This is a team, like, you rely on your stars to get you through a season, but every once in a while you need guys to come off the bench and give you a jolt, spark your team. And they did it last night. 2 jolts last night. I was wondering what Kim did with his helmet. I saw him take it off, and that second video you showed, he was just carrying it around the base pass like a package. So I'm in. I like that.
One last thing. Obviously, Joe Musgrove, who dropped a kettlebell on his toe in the spring training, will be back at some point soon. And I'm going to guess that thing wasn't like the 5-pound kettlebell that I use.
We heard someone got back to me because I've been asking that. I'm like, this guy's massive. Was it a 100-pound kettlebell? I think it was a 35-pound kettlebell, which is pretty light for him. Maybe some slippery hands.
Well, maybe he was
sweating
just
too
doing
much.
one-arm kettlebell stuff, not swinging stuff.
Okay. You ever do kettlebells?
Yeah, I did, but now after my second back surgery, that has been taken out of the repertoire.
Okay. I did
That
some
is an
yesterday.
out. That is, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind them, but I'm just telling you, and I'm not interested in having a third surgery. I'm not trying to get I'm not trying to do the yogurt punch card where the 10th one's free. I don't want that.
No, we don't need that seat. We need you in that seat, ready to go.
Thank you. Braves win the series opener between reigning division champs in the East and the Central. You can have only one lineup between those 2 teams. Which one are you taking?
This was tough for me.
Yeah.
I think
I knew that.
it was. I think I'm taking the Cardinals, and immediately I kind of regret that decision. And the first team that came to mind was the Braves. But I think like the Cardinals 1 through 9 is just a little bit deeper. Like if you take the high end talent, say like the top 4 guys, I think I'm on the Braves, like Riley, Olsen, Acuna, and I guess Harris. I kind of like that better than Arenado, Goldie, Contreras, and I guess you'd throw in like Lars or, I don't know who else would be a top 4 offensive guy for them. Maybe Jordan Walker, who knows? But 1 through 9, I just think there's kind of no break in that Cardinals lineup. It can get a little thin down there with the Braves. I love Rosario, but I think I'd take some of these other guys instead of him. 2 very, very good lineups, see, Rosie. But like I said, I think 1 through 9, the Cardinals are a little bit deeper. So I'll go with the Cardinals.
I'm going to take the Cards as well. They're scary. I think, haven't you said several times that they have too much talent?
They can, but too many people to play in these positions. Yeah.
That's the thing. Do you know who's not getting at bats right now? Dylan Carlson, the guy who finished 3rd in the Rookie of the Year voting. He's not getting ABs right now. So they've got a little bit of an issue that they're going to have to work through. If they're going to keep Jordan Walker as the dude in right field, and my God, I finally saw him hit yesterday for the first time because I haven't had, I didn't have a chance when I was on the road doing our college tour. I finally had a chance to see him, and he fills up a batter's box. He's like
massive.
Dave Winfield in there. If
Oh,
you
that's a good one.
Anybody that well, I mean, we haven't had very many people, right, that are just enormous like that.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge is the largest position player in the history of the sport. But for people who want to dial it back 30 to 40 years, Dave Winfield was one of the guys who was just such an enormous outfielder, a 3 sports star, all sorts of stuff. And he kind of reminds me a little bit of him size-wise.
Dave Winfield's still massive, still in pretty good shape, big old paws on him. He comes around to the clubhouses a lot, and a very intimidating figure.
And,
big boy.
One guy that they didn't have for the full year a season ago was Tyler O'Neill, who's off to a solid start. If he is back to what he was a few years ago, then that's another guy you have to give consistent at-bats to. So somebody's going to be sitting, whether it's Nolan Gorman, Dylan Carlson. Somebody's got to see ya. It's almost like they're forced to make a trade if everybody is healthy at midseason.
I hate picking against the Braves, man. Riley's homer yesterday, about as perfect as you can hit a ball. I think it was 28-degree launch angle, 114 off the bat. I mean, that's pure as it gets. Who would you say top 4 offensive people in that Cardinals lineup? Because I was trying to, when I was going for the high-end talent, it's easy to do that with the Braves. You could actually plug and play a couple different people. But for the Cardinals, I was like, I don't really know. It's Goldie, Arenado, I would say Wilson Contreras, and Nootbaar?
Well, see, all right, now
Donovan?
Wilson Contreras is a little bit because of position, right?
He's had some really good offensive years, though.
He has. Okay, so who is the 4th in that group?
I don't know.
Donovan?
They have options. Tyler O'Neill when he's right.
Yeah, but he just wasn't right last year at all.
Yeah.
God, I put the bad juju on him last year when I picked him as a surprise MVP
You
candidate.
did do that, didn't you? I remember that.
For that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was horrible.
I like that. You're not putting bad juju on him. You're hyping him up, man. Okay.
I did. Today's episode of Baseball Today is sponsored by our friends over at Shady Rays. I certainly hope you were putting those on over in the great state of Hawaii. Take on the sun with gear that is built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades at a very affordable price. In fact, Shady Rays offers a world-class product just as good as any expensive pair out there. Durable frames, extremely clear optics, and that's not all. My favorite thing about them, Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in the history of eyewear. Every pair of shades backed by lost and broken replacements. So what does that mean, Plouffe?
When you sit on them with your fat, they'll replace them for you.
Yes. Even on day one, if it happens on the first day you own them, you don't call up the place and then get chastised. They'll go, "It's okay, Mr. Rose. We were expecting this call. We will send you a brand new pair immediately." And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. So I want you to go to shadyrays.com, use the code word today, 50% off 2+ pair of polarized sunglasses. Go do that so you can look great, feel comfortable, because when you lose them or break them several times a season, like somebody on this show, they're going to take care of you. shadyrays.com. We continue on. You yelled at me yesterday because you said, "Why aren't we talking about your Guardians? They may have had the most impressive series win of anybody up there in Seattle." Well, their West Coast swing continued out in Oakland last night. I know it was just against the A's, but they had an up and down game. Their starter didn't even get out of the second inning, and they ended up winning this thing in extra innings for the second straight day. They have ripped off 4 straight wins. Please tell me, are my Guardians a serious World Series contender or just flirting atop the division?
I want to say they're a World Series contender. I think Similar to the Padres, I think they might need to figure something out with the rotation. Right now, it seems pretty thin there. I know we have some injuries happening, but that's kind of like the one area that I look at that keeps them off of that top tier. But I'll tell you this, see, Rosie, nobody wants to play these guys. Nobody wants to play the Guardians because they actually play the way teams talk about playing, as far as running the bases, playing with urgency, just doing things the right way, like putting pressure on defenses. And it all starts from the top. Like, you want to talk about young guys and them bringing energy, but when your leader, Jose Ramirez, plays like that, like it sends shockwaves through the rest of the lineup. And last night he had his hand in everything, scoring that run, diving headfirst into the plate. Like that's a play that you don't expect your MVP candidate to be making. Like that doesn't really happen, especially, he's no spring chicken. He's been doing it for quite some time. So I think that I think that they need maybe a little bit, maybe just to get healthy in the rotation. I think that would help them. But like they pick each other up, man. Who came in last night? I got Curry comes in the second inning, gives him 5 innings. I mean, that's stuff like that keeps you in a ball game, allowed them to come back. Clase blows it. So what? They answer back and end up winning the game. I think they're just a team that doesn't give up. And like I said, nobody wants to play them because it's just pressure constantly. So you know what? I will say they are a World Series contender. I do believe that.
So what would make them a World Series contender? If you're a team in the American League, can they compete with Houston and New York? That's the question you have to answer, really. That's it right there.
And
everybody
Twins,
else, there are definitely some good teams. The Twins are a good team. Seattle's a good team. Toronto's a really good team. Tampa's a good team. They can compete with all of those teams on a consistent basis. So the question is, can the Guardians be good enough to topple New York and Houston? I was shocked that the Guardians not only led the divisional round 2-1, but took it to 5. I was really surprised. I just didn't feel like the matchup was very good. So I guess I am more confident in this team. And do they have the ability to compete with those two big boys? I think they do, but I think they're going to have to make a trade, or they're going to have to do something which they haven't done. Rely on young pitchers to come up and get a shot. They have Gavin Williams. Daniel Espino is a guy who's just been injured. Everybody grades him out as having the best fastball, I think, in the minor leagues. And he hasn't been able to stay healthy. But Gavin Williams is a big kid, 6'6". I say give him a shot in the rotation, especially if Plesac continues to stink it up. Last night, I get it was just his first start of the year, but this has been going on for a while now. And if you can't rely on him, and if they won't have McKenzie for 2 months, go try one of your kids. Go do it. I don't know what they're waiting on. We're talking about a guy they drafted a couple years ago that went all the way through college. You never know what you might find. Let's stop babying these guys.
So do you think they're a World Series contender?
Yes.
I think so too, man. I think, look, I know we always talk about the Astros and the Yankees, and we even bring the Mariners and the Rays into that conversation as well, and my Blue Jays. But there's some good squads there. And then, man, like the playoffs are, I don't want to call them a crapshoot because I don't think that's entirely true, but you get a team hot. And that style of play, I know you can hit homers and win games in the playoffs, but that style of play, that pressure packed style of play, I think does well in the postseason.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I don't know how to say your name in the chat on our AMP feed. The Guardians are treated like the Yankees and Dodgers on this podcast. It's infuriating. Well, A, that's not accurate. We don't treat the Guardians quite like the Dodgers and Yankees. So A, you're misinformed. B, over the last decade, only one team in the American League has more wins than the Cleveland Guardians. So, I don't know. They've been pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like the Guardians have been better than the Yankees over the last 5 years, probably. Record-wise?
I would say it's probably pretty close. Maybe the Yankees have a few more wins. But
I don't know. You didn't even mention. I don't buy that, dude. We don't need to listen to this guy because you know what? Like I said yesterday, you didn't even bring up the fact that Took 3 of 4 from the Mariners. That was very humble of you, C. Rosie. Very unbiased.
Okay. Let's move from the AL Central to the National League Central, where the Milwaukee Brewers had their home opener, and boy, did they tee off on the Mets.
Tommy Hunter deals again to right and deep. Get up! Get up! Get out of here! Gone!
The rookie Terang with his first career homer, his first career grand slam.
That was Bryce Terang, former first-round pick by the Brew Crew, a 10-0 win. Let's just start with that. I always love it when guys have their first homer and the families are all there. And, you know, I heard the interview with mom and dad, and I didn't even know dad had, you know, a little bit of time in the show with the Mariners a couple decades ago, which was pretty neat. I love those moments, dude.
I do too. That was incredible. I'm telling you, these lights, the way they can just go on and off in these home runs, like the light show, it just makes it so much more special, dude. Love that.
Yeah, it's sweet. So do you think the Brewers are going to push the Cardinals there in the Central?
I think they will. Yeah. I think that they're a very good team. And then we have this this group at the bottom of the lineup. We talked about a little bit on Talking Baseball. They're dubbing them the freshmen. You know, you were a big Garrett Mitchell guy last year. He's kind of like he's still a young guy, but he was that last year. But Bryce Terang, Joey Weimer, there's another guy I'm missing too. But these guys coming and being a force at the bottom of the lineup, I think we talk about depth and we talk about 1 through 9. And, you know, if you have guys that can spark you like last night for Terang, or aren't just outs at the bottom of your lineup, that's how you compete with the Cardinals, in my opinion. We know what they can do. They can pitch the ball. They have good starting pitching, high-end bullpen talent. I think we've talked about this for a long time with them. Like, they've just been a little offensively challenged. They bring in Winker. They don't make some other big moves. But when I asked, you know, some people with the Brewers organization, like, why didn't you guys go after some of these names? It's because they trust these kids to come up. Like, this is kind of a crew that's come up and is going to kind of reshape what they're doing there in Milwaukee. So if they continue to play like this, I don't expect them to, you know, all be rookie of the year candidates. There's going to be some ups and downs with these guys, but I think having them at the bottom of the lineup, giving them, you know, a little bit extra energy, if you will allow them to compete with the Cardinals.
So the thing I worry about them offensively is their inability to put the ball in play. Last year, out of all the guys who played at least 100 games for the Brewers, I think the highest batting average on the team was 255. That's not good enough. Now, I know that people will say, oh, Rose, it's not that big a deal anymore. We're just looking strictly at on base. I'm curious to see if that still holds true with now the banning of the shift, with a lot of people, you know, with athleticism being put back into the game. I don't know if it's fully going to change, but I want to see somebody hit higher than 255 on your team. Somebody, you know, give me a guy that sprinkles in 278. You know, let's really live on the edge, because I just want to see. They hit homers. They got guys that can mash. I'm with you. But let's create some sort of rally, some sort of pressure on the pitcher, particularly with the new disengagement rules and everything else. It's not as simple as waiting around for a big fly with a couple guys on base. There are ways to get to pitchers these days. Make them think about, I mean, look at all the stolen bases we've had here in less than a week.
Game's changing, man.
It is changing. So that's what I'm saying is, let's not just rely on, okay, well, if he walks, that's good enough. You know, we'll do that.
I think that we're going to
pressure on it.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, finish. Go.
I think we're going to see a big difference in roster construction in the coming years. You know, as you know, not the pitch. I guess the pitch clock does impact it, but the disengagement rule, like you said, we're seeing stolen bases at a pretty alarming clip. I think we're going to see more roster constructed based around speed, whereas before, over the last, I don't know, 10 years, it's been all about slug. I think we're going to see, you know, these teams go and say, you know what, we need some guys. Well, let's weaponize the base pass a little bit. Yep. We've seen already, you know, guys like the likes of Corbin Carroll. I know he's got some pop too, but let's get exciting guys like these on the field, on the base pass, because just like I talked about the Guardians, that's just pressure, man. And playing defense with speedy runners all over the place, it's very difficult. And I think it helps you win games.
It sure is. Last thing before we get out of here on the YouTube and the podcast side, Kansas City Royals get off the schneid. They got their first win of the season as they dismantled the Toronto Blue Jays. Our guy, Vinny Pasquantino, got a big hit. And apparently, whenever that happens, they have a Pasquatch walk around the stadium. By the way, you can go get your Pasquatch shirt on shop.johnboymedia.com if you'd like to. Vinny sent me a picture recently. He was wearing it and drinking from a Rose Rotation mug, coffee mug.
Wow.
So he's representing the brand. I love that. But let's get back to the Pasquatch at Kauffman Stadium. Are you on board with it, or is it a little creepy?
Yes, I am on board with this, Chris. And I got a lot of hate yesterday because I was like off of the Viking celebration for the
Yes, you
Reds.
did.
A lot of people were not happy with me. But something like this, where it's like not the actual team doing it, it's whatever, a promotional person or maybe is that a real Sasquatch? I don't want to spoil anybody's view there, but
I'm going to guess it's not real. It could be
Okay.
a John Boy Media intern that we have sent
Okay.
out there.
all I'm saying is this is fun. Like, this is creative, and I like this because it doesn't involve your team. The Reds thing, I'm telling you guys, you guys can like it. I'm just saying, it's when you get to a certain point in the season, you're not going to be having as much fun. We saw that with the Red Sox and their trolley or the laundry cart rides. Like, there were some sad ass laundry cart rides, and it made me feel bad. Okay. But this I like.
Okay.
I'm in for this.
So when the Royals are 15 games under 500 and the Pasquatch still makes an appearance, you're on board.
I am, because it's not the team. It's somebody else doing it. Let somebody else celebrate for you.
So I sent Vinny that clip. I was like, did you even know anything about this? He's like, this is the first time I'm seeing it.
Love
I
it.
think we've made him aware.
I mean, who wouldn't? Like, that's pretty cool, man. Hit a homer and this guy's walking around the stadium. Very subtle. You know what? That's what I like. A little subtle celebration, if you will.
Yeah.
And Reds, do whatever you want. What does it matter what I say? You guys just do whatever you want. I'm just expressing an opinion. That's all.
Yes, you are, and you're entitled to it, even if it
Thank you.
stinks sometimes, just like I
Even
am.
if it stinks.
Now, does Vinny have to keep his distance from the Pasquatch, or does he go seek him out and try and take a photo with him?
I don't think anyone should touch the
I agree.
Sasquatch. Just leave the Sasquatch alone. Does the Sasquatch eat barbecue? That's what I want to know. Because Kansas City, man.
You know what? I'm going to FaceTime Vinny right now, and let's.
What does
We want-
Sasquatch eat? Deer?
Oh, I don't know.
People?
Ooh,
I don't know.
oh, he's going to big league me. Not answering. That's rough.
All
you go.
right. I'm getting yelled at in the chat because people don't like my celebration takes. I don't mean
Yeah.
you can celebrate. You don't have to have this big hoopla about it. That's all.
Yeah. You're fair. All right. What else do you have coming up on John Boy Media?
I'm doing our Wednesday episode of Talking Baseball right after this. It'll come out tomorrow. We have some good topics there. I think we're talking about pitch clock. Manfred had this conference talking about this analytical arms race that leads to nowhere.
Mhm.
We'll be talking about that, Rendon stuff, kind of big topical episode. And then Friday we'll have the recap again. Jake and I will be recapping this week's series, man. What do you got?
Good. Trevor May, Rose rotation. Something happened in the A's Guardians game that we talked about on the show. So
Okay.
it's very interesting. Make sure you go give him a listen. He's fascinating. He's got a lot of interest outside of this baseball world.
I like him. Yeah.
He's also highest paid Oakland A this year.
Good for him.
By a
Good for
lot.
him. He's lasted a long time in the big leagues, man. Like, I'm proud of him. He's almost got 10 years in, I bet.
Yeah, I think he's eight plus.
I'm gonna
That
check
sound
right
right?
now.
Yeah, he had 6 in Minnesota and a couple in New York. This
He's got
service
8
time
at the
after
beginning
that.
of the year, so he'll have 9 after this year.
Yeah. Before we go, we would be remiss if we did not talk about our buddy Liam Hendricks. He announced that he is starting his final round of chemotherapy. So good for him. We want to see him back and healthy. He's smiling. He let White Sox fans know that he is on his way. So that is the most important thing that we can talk about on today's
That's
show.
awesome.
So, Liam, go do your thing, man.
Yeah, we're behind you, Liam.
For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, and the always entertaining Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you Wednesday on Baseball Today.